Hello. Today we're going to look at rhythm counting, specifically in reference to 16th notes, dotted rhythms, and compound meter. So when we're thinking about just quarter notes and eighth notes, in meters where we have the quarter note as our unit of beat, so 4/4, 3/4, 2/4, each of those quarters is going to get a single number. It's going to take up an entire beat, no more, no less, exactly one beat. So in 4/4, 4 quarters would be 1, 2, 3, 4. If we take each of those quarters and we split them into pieces, two equal pieces, we'll get eighth notes. 1 and for the first beat, 2 and for the second beat, 3 and for the third beat, and 4 and for the fourth beat. So 1, 2, 3, 4 becomes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So twice as many in each beat. If we do that one more time, then we'll get 16th notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4 gets split into 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that gets split again to 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. So it gets split into smaller and smaller pieces. The thing to keep in mind is that the beat stays constant and we just keep cutting it into smaller pieces, which means that each of those numbers still happens at the same rate and the same place. There's just more happening in between them. Take a look at this example here. We start off with a dotted quarter eighth note. And you'll remember from previous lessons that a dot adds 50% of whatever it's dotting. So in this case, that dot on the quarter note is saying a quarter note plus 50% more, or a quarter note plus an eighth note. That means this next eighth note will happen on the upbeat of that. Or you can think of it as 1 and 2 and 4 eighth notes worth of space, where 1 and 2 are all inside that dotted quarter note. Quarter note's worth 2 eighth notes. The dot makes it worth 1 more eighth note. So the only thing left on that set of 4 eighth notes would be the and of beat 2. 1 and. 1 and 2 and. So the and happens in the same spot. Count 4 eighth notes with me. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and. Now count a dotted quarter eighth note. 1 and. Again 4 eighths. 1 and 2 and. Now dotted quarter eighth. 1 and. So you'll notice that and happens at the same spot. It's important that when you're counting complex rhythms, you keep the tempo steady and you keep thinking about whatever unit of beat you're keeping track of, whether it's quarters or eighths or sixteenths. Speaking of sixteenths, let's look at the next two beats. We have a dotted eighth note followed by a 16th. Again, the dot adds 50% extra. So what's 50% extra of an eighth note? Well, it's a 16th note. So a dotted eighth note is like saying an eighth note plus a 16th note. You can think of it this way. That starts on beat 3. So it would be 3E and a, 4 eighth notes, 4E and a, or 4 16th notes, I should say. 3E and a, 4 16ths, 4E and a, 4 16ths. But the dotted eighth note takes up 3 of those. So it takes up 3, E, and the only thing left is a. So if you're thinking 3E and a, it would be 3 a. Say 3E and a, 3E and a. Now the dotted eighth note. 3 a. So it works that way for beat 3 and for beat 4 the same way. 3 a, 4 a. Take a moment and look through the whole line and we'll count it together. This is our quarter and eighth. And now I'm going to add the 16ths. Count a measure of quarter notes. Ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Count a measure of eighth notes now. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and now count a measure of sixteenths. Don't rush, be precise. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Good, and if you need to do something physical to tap out on your hand or your knee to keep track of those 16th notes, I highly recommend it so you don't lose track of them on the dotted eighth notes. All right, let's count the whole line. 1, 2, 3, ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1. Sorry, I should have been counting the rhythm with you. I'm trying to keep track of the metronome, but I'll let the metronome do it this time. I'll count your exact rhythm. Ready, go. 1 and 3, 4, 1, 3, 1 and 3, 4, 1, off. Were you tempted to cut the last note a little short? Maybe so. Let's look at the next one now. Oh, I forgot to mention, here's a visual of looking at it. 3E and A becomes 3 Look at the next one. So we have another dotted quarter and eighth note. 1 and. And in measure 2, we have 1, 2, Take a moment and study that on your own. So to recap, first measure, 1 and. Say that. 1 and. Second measure, 1, 2, Say that. 1, 2, Let's go through the whole thing. 1, 2, ready, count. 1 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, off. Count it once on your own. Ready, go. Together again. 1 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, off. So for me and for a lot of people, it's really helpful to think of that 16th note happening not so much after a beat, but just barely before the next beat. So if you're having trouble thinking 1E and you can just think it's right before the next beat. One, 2, 3, 4. So right before the next beat. And that'll help keep those 16th notes a little more accurate. 1, 2, 3, 4. Count measure 2 with me. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Count measure 4. Ready? Go. 1, 2, 3. So hopefully that helps in how you're thinking of that 16th note falling into place. Now let's look at the next one. We're in 3/4, so the only thing that's really changed is that we have 3 beats in a measure instead of 4. Look through each line And note that we have ties this time. When you're counting something with a tie, you still want to think the number. You just don't want to say a new number. You want to keep holding out the previous number. So for example, in measure 2 here, we have a we have a half note tied to a dotted eighth note. So our half note is going to be worth how many beats? 2 beats. Then our eighth note happens on beat 3. So we'll say 1 up, and the will happen right before the next beat. Study the whole line. One and two and count. 1, 2, 3, 1, a 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, a 1, 1. Sorry, we have a little misprint in the end. It should be a 1, and then the last note should be a quarter note instead of a half note. 1, 3. There you go.